And now, the Rink Rap Podcast from Forever Blueshirts, talking all things New York Rangers hockey. Here's your host, Jim Cerny.
What's up, Blueshirts faithful? Welcome to the Rink Rap Podcast at Forever Blueshirts. I'm Jim Cerny. Thanks for liking, thanks for subscribing, and thanks for joining us here as we record on Sunday. And I know this will publish on Monday, but we're here on Sunday. We're in Troy, New York, and it's the New York State Hockey Hall of Fame ceremony, and just some really, really cool stuff going on today. A lot of Rangers are involved here. Don Maloney, former Ranger player, of course, younger brother of Captain Dave Maloney. He is getting inducted. Neil Smith, former New York Rangers general manager, of course, and of course was Don Maloney's boss as assistant GM when he came back to the organization, getting inducted as well. Nick Fotiu, I thought Howie Rose, who sent a video into this broadcast, said it the best. Is there goes Captain Dave and there goes Donnie. Said it best about Nick Fotiu. Says, how can you have a New York State Hockey Hall of Fame if you don't have Nick Fotiu in it, right? Mr. Staten Island, Mr. New York Ranger, Mr. New York Hockey. Well, indeed, Nick Fotiu getting inducted as well. And as you probably didn't see off camera here, Dave Maloney and Donnie Maloney walking by. Dave introduced Don Maloney at the ceremony tonight and actually got pretty emotional and, teared up, talked about his younger brother, how proud he is of him, how he couldn't be more proud of what Don Maloney accomplished in his career, both as a player and an executive. He's still currently with the Calgary Flames organization, of course. So you had that part. And, whoa, you know what? Hold that thought, because I'm turning on the microphone for this guy. I thought he had found the exit, but apparently he had not.
I promised you I'd be here,
and he keeps the promise. You may recognize this guy. We were just talking about him. Howie Rose said, "How can you have a New York State Hockey Hall of Fame without Nick Fotiu?" Well, now they don't have that issue, do they?
No, it's all done. Signed, sealed, and delivered. I was nervous up there, though. Now I'm calm.
Come on, you got to be kidding me.
I'm always nervous, when I get up, but now I'm calm.
You're nervous. Of all the talks you've given, all the fans you've spoken to, all the stories you've told, Nicky Fotiu still gets...
Oh, yeah. Maybe that's what makes you tell them better when you're nervous a little.
So I told this story before. I don't know if I've done it on this show, but I've done it on other shows. You almost beamed me. I wasn't up in the blues, but there was the greens or the yellows. What was below the blues, right?
Oh,
You're tossing the pucks up there.
Were you the one that ducked?
I don't know what. I was
like... You see it coming and then you ducked?
No. If I saw it coming, I would have put up the hand and I would have snared.
All right.
I didn't know. I wasn't thinking, which, if you know me well enough, and we certainly have crossed paths over the years, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, so I'm a kid.
Well, I'm glad you said that, not
me. And, me and my buddy, we're running our mouths and everything. Rangers, this, that. And you're chucking pucks. And I swear, it probably wasn't that close, but it was pretty close to beating me,
But
right?
You know what? Out of all the pucks I threw in the National Hockey League, I never hit anybody. Nobody ever got hurt.
That's so good.
And I threw 40, 35 a game.
That many?
Yeah.
Did they? I have a feeling.
Actually,
did somebody pay for these?
What do you mean pay? Sonny Werman says nobody ever stops Nicky from throwing pucks.
All right, that's what I like to hear.
I had the guys that clean the ice, put them on top of the nets for me.
Yeah, I remember.
Put them in a bucket, because I would have threw the bucket too. So.
Glad you didn't toss the net. I really would have had a headache, right?
No, it was all good.
What does tonight mean to you? I mean,
it's great.
Special
New York City Hall of Fame. I'm in the Staten Island Hall of Fame, Ranger Hall of Fame. Running out of Hall of Fames, but everything's good.
You were telling some great stories up there. Some I've heard. Some I gotta admit I've never heard. But Dave Maloney's here. Don Maloney's here.
Yeah.
Do you have a good Maloney brothers story? Because those guys are characters too.
Yeah, I know. But Not really.
I put you on the spot, huh?
Yeah, you put me on the spot, but just played with Donnie and Dave. Dave was, a great guy, and Donnie's a great guy, and we all had fun. But it's all great.
Yeah. All right. So what about it? I'm going to cue you up. You didn't prank Phil Esposito, did you? Did you have the cojones to prank Phil Esposito?
No. It was you kind of pranked the guys that were giving you a hard time, So and they would get like kind of jealous. Great job.
Kill the kid.
No. Actually, I'm cancer free too. And my wife's cancer free.
This is great stuff. Jimmy Johnson from the Islanders,
Right.
Hey,
Sorry.
all these people from my history and my past are here.
I don't mean to.
No, that's great.
This guy, because he's a special man.
Yes, he is.
Thank you very much.
Two very special men. That's Jimmy Johnson.
Oh,
Used to be with the
thank you.
Islanders. Really brought the place to tears today, talking about his cancer survival,
wife.
his battle, multiple cancers that he's battled.
Sorry about
very
that. We
special.
just got
No,
that.
I'm filling the fans in. I think it's cool to have moments like that. And,
Oh yeah, it's great.
Jimmy, I know real well. You probably didn't even know before I was with the Rangers. I broadcasted for the Islanders, and Jimmy was there, of course, back in those days.
We had a great time tonight, and like I said, it was great to see these people come out and have a great time.
But they still care. Like, could you have ever? Like, it's probably a stupid question, because could you first have imagined being a Ranger, being on the ice, being an NHL player, playing with Gordie Howe, playing with Phil Esposito, Gretzky, all the incredible things that have happened. But then all these years later, still remembered, still beloved, right? And
what you put into
incredible.
it is what you get out of it.
Yeah.
If you don't put anything into it, you don't get anything out of it. But if you treat people the way they should be treated, they'll always remember.
Yeah. And respected the game too.
Yeah. Oh man,
Right?
I loved the game, man. I used to be in the afternoon skating around the Forum, Montreal, all by myself. Relaxed, shooting pucks, looking at all the banners. It's all great.
I gotta tell you, and of course, you're an NHL player. I mean, obviously not so much, but in 1993, the All-Star game was at the Forum in Montreal, and they had a media game. So you were able, if you could skate, you were in the game, you could play. And I'm like I had done those at the Garden, and of course that's a big deal. I was a Queens kid, grew up in Queens, so I always thought that was the ultimate. And then I'm like, I'm skating around the Montreal Forum. I'm like, are you kidding me?
It's great.
Like, how did I pull this
I'm
off?
shooting pucks, and trainer comes and LaFleur walks in, and the trainer goes, "Show Guy how you shoot the puck." I go, "What?" Because I could really shoot a puck.
Yeah,
I stand on the goal line and put it over on the other end.
So quick thought. You were talking about, and it was referenced a couple of times. Obviously, everybody knows how tough you were and everything, but there was skill there too, and you wanted to be known and remembered as an all-around hockey player. So I just wanted to get your thought as to what somebody like a Matt Rempe is dealing with now. He's a similar type situation, right?
I wish he called me and could help him, because he's just fighting the wrong way. Like, I'd never fight the way they fight today. I mean, it's crazy. And, he has the skills to be a good player. I watch him all the time. And, it's this old saying, well, you want to be loved, do you want to be feared? Well, I want to be feared.
Yeah.
Because I want to get the room and I protect my teammates. I have a good time with the fans. So that's what it's all about, helping people.
Yep.
If you could give your teammates a little more room out there, that means they're going to score a little more, So.
Yeah. So who was the most, I'm not saying you were scared of anybody, but was there somebody out there that offered a little intimidation to you where you were like, oh shit, I got to do this? But
no. All I know is when I was on the ice, people knew I was on the ice. So I didn't push to fight. I
Right.
don't want to fight. I just want to play.
Right.
But don't hurt any of my teammates or try to hurt any of them, because then I'll be there. You know.
Right.
So, and it's with my friends, it's with everybody. So everything's, that's the game.
That's very cool. He is Nick Fotiu, and he is kind enough to, as he's walking out here and, spending time with everybody else, he spends a few minutes with us as well. And I very much appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
And appreciate you, and congratulations.
Thanks a lot. Okay.
One of the
All
good
right.
guys.
Bye now.
Thanks, Nicky. Nicky Fotiu, former Ranger, great and everything, New York State Hockey Hall of Fame. Just one of the really, really good people, and that's a cool moment there. Yeah, I wasn't sure if he's going to have the time to chat with us, but he did. He swung by, and that's just it's good stuff. And Dave and Don Maloney and Neil Smith. Neil Smith told some great stories about how it made such perfect sense. Here, I'm going to turn this other microphone off. It made perfect sense for him to be in the New York State Hockey Hall of Fame, to be elected, not just because he was the GM of the New York Rangers, and of course, the only general manager to win a Stanley Cup in 86 years with the New York Rangers, but he got his start with the New York Islanders. He was drafted by the Islanders. He went through chapter and verse of how he got involved in their scouting department, of course, during their dynasty years, how he learned how to just want to win, need to win, be passionate about winning from Bill Torrey and Al Arbor. And he said even just working in a small role as he did with the Islanders back in those days. And then from there, he got the opportunity to go to the Detroit Red Wings organization, but he stayed in the state of New York, and he was the GM of the Adirondack Red Wings, their AHL team. And he said there he learned about winning some more. Bill Dineen was the head coach of that Adirondack Red Wings team. And Bill Dineen was a 2-time Stanley Cup winner with the Red Wings as a player. And then he just burned. He said, winners just want to keep winning. That's what Neil Smith said in his induction speech here tonight. Winners want to keep winning. Winning once is not enough. You want to keep winning. And he said he learned that from Bill Dineen, who here he was, been an NHL player, NHL star, Stanley Cup champion. He's coaching in the American Hockey League, and all he wanted to do was win. And of course, they won in Adirondack, and because they were winning in Adirondack, Neil Smith, became a hot commodity. And at the age of 35, he became general manager of the New York Rangers. And you might have heard of the rest of the story, right? Even though it's interesting, Neil said, he was at his first press conference, and he's absorbing working in Madison Square Garden and all that. It's 1989. He's 35 years old, and he's like, "What am I doing here? How am I going to keep this job?" And he credited Roger Nielsen, hiring Roger Nielsen as his first coach, even though maybe it didn't end great. The end of the tenure with Roger Nielsen didn't end great in New York. He said it was hugely important to have a veteran coach like Roger, who, knew how to run training camp, knew the ins and outs as a veteran in the NHL of the do's and the don'ts, putting together a team of, like I said, running training camp, all these little things that, the general manager is supposed to be helping set up, right? What type of players to get, building a team. All of a sudden, whoa, this is an Adirondack. It's not the AHL. Yeah, you learned a lot from Bill Torrey and Al Arbor about winning and maybe the bigger culture things. But what about the minutia? Well, he needed a veteran coach, and he brought in Roger Nielsen, who was a big help with that. So learned some things, some great storytelling from Neil Smith, also from Don and Dave. And, I was mentioning before Nicky came over how, Dave was talking about just how proud he was of Donnie, his little brother, for everything he accomplished, but most importantly for the person that he is. And I can vouch for that. Donnie Maloney is one of the really, really good guys. I got to know him really well when I was with the Islanders. He was the GM of the Islanders when I first arrived there as a broadcaster, and I've certainly been in touch with him. He's been a guest on this show as well before. So it was just a neat thing to hear. And listen, there were a lot of other great speeches here today, emotional ones. It wasn't just the Rangers, the people with Rangers ties. There were about eight or nine inductees. I'm probably losing count here, but people that have battled things physically, cancer, and overcome things, and just the part that hockey has played in their lives. So it was a fun night. It was a lot of laughs. Listen, a lot of material for the Forever Blue Shirts website. I guarantee you, I'm going to be posting a lot of stories. I've already posted a bunch of pictures as well. So a lot of cool stuff to come out of this event, along with this podcast. And up next, this is going to be pre-recorded on the pre-record. Like I know you're watching this as it's getting recorded, but earlier, before the event began, had a chance to chat with Sam Rosen, former Rangers, the Hall of Fame broadcaster. Sam was here. He introduced Nick Fotiu and Neil Smith at the event tonight. But before he did that, he came in to talk about the current state of the New York Rangers. And then after that, we also chat with Allan Kreda of the Associated Press. And again, same thing, talking about some NHL issues, the NHL offseason, what the New York Rangers did this offseason. So, yeah, there's a little bit of reminiscing. We had Nick Fotiu here and everything, but we're also going to be spinning it forward. What's going on currently with the Rangers, their massive offseason. Are they a playoff team? Those are some of the things that I discussed with Sam Rosen and Allan Kreda, and that'll be coming up next right here on Rink Wrap as we are at the New York State Hockey Hall of Fame induction ceremony 2026. What's up, Blue Shirts faithful? Welcome to the Rink Wrap podcast. Here at Forever Blue Shirts, we are in Troy, New York, recording the show this week. And this guy is Sam Rosen. I'm Jim Cerny. We're here for the New York State Hockey Hall of Fame induction ceremonies. And Sam's already in the Hockey Hall of Fame here at the New York State Hockey Hall of Fame, but he's helping introduce former Ranger Nick Fotiu. And of course, Donnie Maloney's here as well. He's getting inducted this year as well. And of course, Neil Smith, who was just on the show a couple weeks ago. So lot to get to. It's going to be a real fun day. We're going to have a bunch of interviews on the show. I want to thank everybody for liking and subscribing and following Forever Blue Shirts and all the work that we do there. But we're going to talk a little past and present. And first of all, Sam, you look pretty darn good for a guy that seemed to be working every day in his retirement. Every time you go to the Garden and there's Sam down hosting another ceremony.
Well, it was nice to remain part of the family this year. I thank the Rangers for keeping me involved with the centennial season. It was great to renew old friendships and to see players that played for the Rangers, whether it was 1 year, 2 years, or 10 years. It was like a nonstop reunion.
Yeah.
So that was great for me to see a lot of the names that came through that I had the pleasure of watching and calling their games. And quite honestly, things slowed down. The pace has slowed. That nonstop frenetic pace for so many years of got to go to the rink for the morning skate. Got to go to MSG and be there for a production meeting. Got to do post game. Got to pack to go on the road.
Get on the plane.
Whatever it was a frenetic pace. Eating at strange hours on airplanes and going from hotel to hotel. So things have calmed down. Life is a lot slower paced. But I keep tabs on everybody, keep in touch. And again, the Rangers keep me involved in things, and it's nice to be part of the family. Just the other day, I was at Rangers Junior Summer Camp.
Yeah.
They had their award ceremony, and I was able to MC that. Great to see kids skating on the ice. They had a tremendous group of kids. They have another camp this week. So again, staying attached to the Rangers family is a good thing.
And the centennial year anniversary for the Rangers. Love the unis, love the baby blues, yes. Totally into it. But was there ever a bigger jinx with the jersey and home ice and those baby blues?
It's unbelievable. The start of the season, it was just like, when are they going to score?
Stunning.
What's happening out there? I hope it was just a 1-year jinx. And quite honestly, Jim, I like the offseason moves. I think they addressed problems. How it plays out remains to be seen, but certainly it looks on paper that this is an improved team that can now legitimately compete for the playoffs. And look, it starts with a man in goal. We have one of the best goaltenders in the NHL and all the world in Igor Shesterkin. And then you go out from there. They got a couple of veteran defensemen, got a scoring forward, and a backup goalie, and we'll see where it goes from there.
You know, one of the, and it should always be this way, but it isn't always this way. And I'm not just talking about the Rangers, it's teams in general, any sport. But the GM and coach need to be on the same page. And I felt right from day one that Chris and Sully have been on the same page. But at the end of the season, when Sully said, he was asked, what does this team need? He goes, we need puck-moving defensemen. We need to get the puck out of our own end. We need to transition much quicker and better defense to offense, get the puck up to the forwards. That was a big problem. That was in my head the entire offseason. I'm like, somehow, some way, Chris Drury's going to address this because Sully was so pointed about what he wanted. So that's a big wind-up to saying, what do you think about the acquisition of Sean Durzi, of course, in the Trocheck trade, and Marcus Pettersson as well?
Well, I think they addressed a need. You have in Sean Durzi, you've got a right-handed shooting defenseman who's got offense through a game, scored goals for Utah. And you just hope it doesn't happen again. If Adam Fox goes down, there's the feeling that Durzi can step up and at least contribute offensively, maybe be a second quarterback on the power play. The guys that tried to fill that role when Adam Fox was out really didn't succeed. I mean, and that point was the turning point in the season. We were down at the Winter Classic. Rangers played one of their best games of the season against the Panthers, went home, next game, Shesterkin and Fox go down. The Rangers go 2-11-1, season over. So they needed depth. They've added some depth players. I think one of the big needs that I'll be looking at when the season starts is how will those third and fourth line players contribute? There wasn't enough scoring from those two lines. It was if the top two lines scored, Rangers had a chance, and if they didn't, they lost. So those are the things I'm looking at. The other one, Pettersson, I think is a good fit, gives them depth, defensive defenseman, and a player that Mike Sullivan had in Pittsburgh and was very good for Mike in Pittsburgh. A solid player, not afraid to hit, physical. It gives them good balance. Mike likes that right-left balance, and I think it gives them that balance that they need.
And you talked about Fox and Shesterkin going down the same game, out the same length of time. I mean, it was, you knew it at the time too. And this is no disrespect to the players that were there or whatever. You knew it at the time. You're like, boy, probably surviving however long it's going to be without one of these guys. And they had already survived treaded water without Fox already. But to have them both go down that next morning, because we didn't know about Fox, that night. We found out the next morning, and you're like, you got to be kidding me. This is a massive blow.
And everybody loves Jonathan Quick. He became an instant leader in the locker room. Great player to be around, giving to his teammates and to younger players. And that first year, 18 wins. We know his quality. He's off to the Hall of Fame. But to ask him to carry the load night in and night out was just too much. And unfortunately, the Rangers dropped down, and once Igor came back, things kind of leveled off and got better again. But that by bringing in Jonas Korpisalo, you're bringing in a veteran goalie, 32 years old, who's been a number one goalie, can play and carry a team if Igor goes down for any amount of time, short periods, and hopefully not at all. But but Korpisalo could handle that kind of load.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Dave Maloney was on the show last week, so keeping it in the family here. Dave was on the show last week, and he kind of got into that debate of, wasn't surprised that the Rangers were going to go out and get a veteran goalie to at least compete, at minimum compete with Dylan Garand. But he was a little surprised that it was perhaps that goalie, a goalie that makes a significant salary, when, at least from the outside looking in, as much as, Rangers may say we're going to have a competition here, it really would appear to be difficult for Dylan to win this job from Korpisalo. So Dave was saying, and certainly it's something I've said on the show before too, little surprised by that. I thought there'd be competition, but maybe not somebody of that level and financial commitment.
I think for Dylan, you can look at it two ways. If he's a backup goalie behind Igor Shesterkin, how much does he play?
Right.
If he's in Hartford and he's playing every game or virtually every game, he's getting a lot of work as the number one goalie. And if you need him, you can bring him down. If you think if something happens to either Igor or Korpisalo, you can bring in Dylan Garand. He hasn't had enough NHL experience. He had that small sample size and looked very good last season. So that's encouraging. But I think with Korpisalo, it just settles that role. He fills the role that Jonathan Quick had when the Rangers won the President's Cup a couple of years ago. Jonathan Quick won 18 games. So that's a very valuable position. You don't think of it right away because you say, oh, we have Igor Shesterkin. Yeah, but if Igor needs a little rest, needs some time off, and you can go to a guy who's going to give you wins, that makes you a better team. Right.
And listen, Chris Jury saw it firsthand. Mike Sullivan saw it firsthand last year. Oh, this is what happens when you get shorted, if you will. Quick was 40 at that point, not the same guy, couldn't carry the load every day. I feel like I'm repeating myself because I've said this so often on the show, but, Dylan was also not playing his best hockey at that point of the season. Mm-hmm. And Chris never said this, Sully never said this, but I got the impression that they were like, well, if we're going to bring him up, let's bring him up when he's playing well. When they did bring him up, he was playing his best hockey of the season at Hartford, and he rode that wave with the Rangers. So then Spencer Martin was the guy. Well, here's the thing: Garand now or Korpisalo, whoever ends up being 2, whoever ends up being 3, that's 3 good NHL goalies.
It gives you depth at the most important position on the team.
Yeah. Exactly. Just a quick thought for a man who loves to say it's a power play goal. Got to be pretty fired up about Dorofeyev. I mean, that is a heck of a move. Talk about weaponizing your salary cap space and taking advantage of somebody who, Vegas, who were right up against the cap. Well, that was shrewd maneuver in there.
Makes all the difference in the world. We talk about Adam Fox being the quarterback, Durzi maybe backing, getting the second power play quarterback role, but you need that finisher. The guy that's going to score. Mika has been that guy with his shot, and everybody knows. And prior to him, it was Chris Kreider in front. I think they've got guys that can play the net front spot, especially Will Cooley. I'm a big Will Cooley fan.
And Lafreniere now, too. That kind of turned around I'm not to cut you off, but that's kind of what turned his season around last year. He started going to the net, rebounds, deflections in that second half of the season.
He's got great hands. There's no doubt about that. So now you bring in a true finisher. Dorofeyev, who scored 35 and 37 the last 2 years. You've got a guy that other teams have to worry about. Igor, you have to worry about. Could be Lafreniere, could be Cooley, could be Fox, could be Durzi on the second point.
Right.
It gives you more weapons, and suddenly the power play can be a big threat and a big factor in these games, where last year they scored 2 goals in a game and suddenly everything would stop. And teams focused on shutting down the power play because the Rangers didn't score as much 5-on-5.
Right.
So if the power play got shut down, Rangers were in trouble. Now they've got more weapons to use in the game, and that power play becomes very dangerous.
Absolutely, it does. Sam, I know there's a room full. It's filling up here of people that want to get a piece of Sam Rosen.
It's an exciting day.
So just so the fans know, you're going to be introducing Nicky, right?
Yes.
Nicky Fotiu and Neil,
And
correct?
Neil. Yes.
That's pretty good. Those generation, the homegrown New Yorker, and then, of course, the guy who orchestrated and then put together the 94 Cup champs.
Without question, I have good memories of Neil starting out in his career and becoming very successful. I'm looking forward to that. It's a special moment for both guys. And as you mentioned, Donnie Maloney, they asked me about Donnie Maloney, and I said, I got to leave it to Dave. I can't steal Dave's thunder. We want to hear the stories about them growing up in Kitchener.
So the funny thing, and then I'll let you go here, share this with you. Dave was on the show last week. I talked about, he's going to get the chance to introduce Donnie. Donnie's going to join him in the New York State Hockey Hall of Fame. And anytime I've interviewed either one of those guys, or just even just casual conversation, you know how it is. They were just ripping on each other. And Dave got really serious. He talked about, I'm so proud of my younger brother. And he's not only was a great player, he's an executive, he's accomplished so much, but he's just a genuinely great guy, which of course you and I know very well. But I was almost flummoxed. I didn't know what to say. Because this is Dave. He's usually ripping on Don, or Don's ripping on Dave.
Yeah, did he thank Don for all the inside information Donnie gave him so Dave could become a polished broadcaster with all this inside stuff?
No, he said it was all you. He said, you, Kenny, Joe Mick, you guys carried him on, JD.
Dave would always come up with a couple of gems and say, I think, he must have talked to Donnie this week and gotten some stuff.
Donnie is one of my all-time favorites.
Absolutely.
And I'm looking forward to seeing him again as well. So again, like I said, I'm going to tee it up for you. I know a lot of people want to chat with you. I appreciate you sharing a few minutes with us on Rink Wrap.
My pleasure, Jim.
And I miss you seeing you every day.
I miss it too. I miss the games. I really do.
Yeah.
The games are great.
The games and the people,
and the people that we've worked with. And that I've had the good fortune of working with at MSG, and the people around the Rangers organization, all special people and family to me.
Yeah. Sam, thanks so much.
Thanks, Jim. Great to see you.
Appreciate it. Back here on Rink Wrap, I'm Jim Cerny, joined right now by Allan Kreda from the Associated Press and book writer as well. Had the Kenny Morrow book last year.
Thank you.
And we're here, as people have seen so far on the podcast, with we're at the New York State Hockey Hall of Fame induction ceremony today. A lot of people that we have spent a lot of hours with over the years, right? Talk about Neil Smith and Josh Bailey from the Islanders, Buzzy Deschamps, right?
Yes,
He's a guy, right? A legend on Long Island that we both know. And,
yes.
Donnie Maloney, I think I said Neil Smith, Nicky Fotiu. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're having fun here, but I also want to talk a little bit about the current state, the game, and the Rangers offseason in particular. Get your thoughts on that. Let's start with the Leo Carlsson. He's shaking his head already.
Bizarre.
Leo Carlsson and the offer sheeted by the Flyers, $18 million. Now, Anaheim matched it. But what are the ramifications of this? And what does it do you think, for the game and the financial state of the game? Even though I know revenues are up, cap's going way up. What do you think the long-term ramifications of this offer sheet are?
It's just way too complicated too quickly. It's such a big number, $18 million. Now everyone's going to have to be living up to that number or close to that number, where 10, 11, 12 million is going to be not nearly enough. So sure, the cap's going up, but it's quickly going to fill up if teams have to give a player max number, which now has been established way too quickly, too fast.
Right. Your thought, what do you think the thought process here from Philly is? Can you get into that? I know Danny Briere spoke a little bit, but I'm not sure that there were answers there. What do you think the underlying, but some people have reasoned or, thought that, we're going to make Anaheim pay because, if they got to pay him, then they got to pay Gauthier, and it's all going to catch up to Anaheim at some point. Are you trying to weaponize against a
Seems
team
like
that's got great
there's
young talent?
More to it. I don't know, the Cutter-Gauthier
Yeah.
situation between the two teams.
Yeah.
He didn't want to play in Philadelphia. Now he's there. There's like strange undercurrents that seem, I don't know, almost personal. And if he matched, what he did match, but if they didn't match, they get this $18 million player, and then Anaheim's got bereft of
Right.
talent.
Right.
And now that they didn't match, well, they set some standard, and they can still do what they want with other talent. Like, it's bizarre. That's the only word I can think of. He's a nice player, certainly huge potential, but it's like in baseball, we're seeing rookies getting 8-year, $80 million deals with hardly really having the big year yet.
Right.
It's
Right.
crazy.
Yeah. They think they're in baseball, at least. I feel like they're investing, figuring that, in years 5, 6 of this contract,
Right.
we're going to be saving
where the
money,
bargain will
right?
be,
That's where
but
the bargain is, right?
Still,
Exactly.
it seems like the leap from entry level to massive is absurd. Like, you still have to prove something, I would think, before a team would want to. And even with salary cap, again, going up, you still have to live up to that, and you can't dedicate so much to one player. It rarely works. Rarely.
Yet
So it's a hard one.
The finances of the game are pretty fascinating right now. Like a year ago at this time, people like us, writers and broadcasters in the business, we're getting fired up. We're like, a year from now, possibly you're going to have McDavid, Eichel, Kaprizov, Natchez, Connor, all these guys are going to be free agents. Not a single one made it to the finish line. And in fact, even the two guys who were left standing, Alex Tuck and Darren Radish,
Right.
ended up, their rights got traded and they were signed before July 1 as well. Like, nobody was really left standing. Do you think this is a precedent? Do you think this is just the way it worked out this 1 year? Of course, McDavid and Eichel were going to get signed and then other teams followed suit. Or do you think this is a little bit of a precedent? Do you think this is the way business is going to start getting done in the league?
I think so. It seems like teams want the proverbial cost certainty, so they want to know who's going to cost what before they get to the true free agency zone, which is now going to escalate to insane numbers. So there has to be a protection of the budget for every team, and no one, I guess, wants to risk being shut out.
Yeah,
So
it was
reset, definitely.
It was pretty fascinating. We knew it was coming. We didn't know that they would trade Pavel Dorofeyev, but we knew Vegas was in cap hell, right? It was pretty much known. It was an open secret in the league that absolutely they were going to sign Rasmus Anderson when he became an unrestricted free agent. So where was the money going to come for Dorofeyev or whomever? They had to open up salary. That said, were you surprised that they didn't open up salary elsewhere? And that's the kid at age 25, coming off the 2 seasons he just had, the terrific playoff he just had, that's the player that they ended up moving?
Curious. I mean, he's definitely showed potential. Sure, in the playoffs alone, it seemed like a total keeper. Maybe their pipeline is deep enough where not worried. Vegas seems to find ways. And, essentially the Rangers have a younger Artemi Panarin, essentially, if he can score at the same rate.
Right. He's not the playmaker Panarin was, but he might be a better pure goal scorer, right?
You still need someone to pass him the puck,
right?
Which could be a challenge, but he seems like the right type of New York player off the bat. But again, he's so young, essentially unproven, except for a playoff run, I think. So is it a gamble? Maybe. The contract's reasonable, but still has to perform in New York City, which isn't always easy for every single player.
I mean, that's a valid point. I think he's proven, at least in the fact that he led Vegas, a very talented team, in goal scoring each of the last 2 years, 35 goals, 37 goals. So I think from that point of view, I think he's proven. But you're right. In New York, you don't know until you know, right? And there are guys who are like, this guy's just going to be a player. But Vincent Trocheck, good signing.
Yep.
And he ends up really being a really good New York player. Like, I think he thrived, in that atmosphere.
And some higher level.
Right, exactly.
Some don't.
And we'll see. Now, do you have doubts that Dorofeyev will?
No. I mean, it's hard to know. I always worry about the language barrier, if that's an issue. But don't know that it will be. Or
Yeah,
should be.
I don't think that it is with him. Like, I know he's been in the States for a while, and he's also trained at Prentice in
Right, so
Connecticut.
he's been in the area.
Yeah, in the area, and he knows, a bunch of those guys from up that way. So I think that's all pluses. But listen, if you're Chris Drury, it costs you 2 first-round picks and a third-round pick. I think you take that's the guy you take a chance on, right? 25 years old, back-to-back 35-plus goal seasons, right?
Yep. Young enough, and with the right line mates, he might score 40, 45 goals.
Yeah.
Entirely plausible.
We had Dave Maloney was on the show last week, and we were talking about possible line mates and all that, and he said, "Well, we'll see when we see." But I saw during the week, I forget who it was. It was Keith Yandel on Spit and Chicklets, because that's where I go for all my analysis is Spit and Chicklets. Keith Yandel said, I played with JT when he was a younger player, JT Miller. And he said, he came into the league as a pass-first guy. He goes, his game is going to improve, and he's going to help Dorofeyev's game. I'm paraphrasing what Yandel said. And I thought it was a different take, because it seems like so many people, especially Ranger fans, are so down on JT Miller right now. So what's your take on that?
I think he might relax this year. Hopefully he'll be injury-free. I think something was going on with him last season. Maybe now the pressure might be somewhat less. I do concerned, though, that his buddy Trocheck is not here. That seemed to be a factor for him coming back here.
Yeah.
I think injuries were a major impediment for him. So this will be the year that he can prove what he can do healthy. Again, needs the line mates. I think he's a New York player. I just don't think should be the captain. I think it's too much pressure for him. I don't think he loves being the one to talk after games, win or lose. Some guys like it, some guys don't. It wears people down. I saw Ryan Callahan, Ryan McDonough. Like, these were top-notch people, players, leaders. It wears them down, and especially in New York, we have to be the one. Jacob Trouba, more of the same. I think the captain's job is just a very Mark Messier is the only one I could think of over the last 30 years that reveled in it.
Reveled, right? That's a great word, because Mess did love it. And remember, when he left, and now we're going back in history. When he left, he goes to Vancouver. The Rangers said, "Well, we're going to take our best player and put the C on him." And now you talk about weights to bear, Brian Leach. I mean, it wasn't his personality, right? That's why I made the argument last year. And listen, nothing against JT as a player or anything like that. And I agree with you. I think he's a guy that can deal with whatever New York throws his way. But I don't think he wants to talk about it every day.
Right. Just wants to play his game and quietly go about that and not have to answer for teammates who are maybe not playing up to his level or whatever. Well, last year was painful.
Or even his level. He wasn't playing to his level, right? I agree. It was painful to watch. The guy who I thought, you mentioned, Mess reveled in talking to the media and being the leader and everything. You know who I thought, who they had that was like that a little bit? I don't know that he reveled in it, but he was really good at it. Is Vincent Trocheck.
Yes. Yeah,
right?
Unafraid, went a little off cuff a few times.
Yeah.
Not afraid to say it like it is. So that's a missing piece now. How do you replace that player? Yeah. Tough room when they were losing. If you start off well, it'll be a little different story. But again, it's like who's going to be the next so-and-so is a big factor. The social dynamic with the Rangers last year was off kilter pretty much all season.
Yeah, and even worse 2 years ago. Then, that was completely off kilter. One of the guys, you talk about guys that are really good handling the media, I think, and are intelligent, honest, well-spoken and all that. It's another guy that may be on the trading block, and that's Braden Schneider. I think we can certainly go back and forth about, the on-ice metrics and his underlying numbers and even the eye test. And, he was probably in over his head filling in for Fox on the top pair last year. I've done that ad nauseum on the show. Right. But the thing that I don't think we discuss enough is what a good guy, what an emerging young leader in that room, and what a respected voice he's becoming in that room, Braden Schneider.
I hope
you
he
feel
stays.
the same?
I mean, they called him Baby Trouba at the beginning. He seems to have the right goods. Another quiet, solid player, right-handed shot, some heaviness to his shot. He's only getting better. That's a player I would not trade at this stage. They need some young experience on the blue line. And he pretty much brought it every night.
Yeah, and again, I think him on the third pair, if everyone stays healthy and you go down the line, Fox, Durzi, Schneider, Schneider should be a really good third pair guy. Now, the issue you run into, right? We started all this conversation talking about finances. He's at a point where you got to start to pay him. So if you start to pay him, what do you pay him as a third pair guy? Braden Schneider's not going to be thrilled about that, right? So what do you do? If you're Rangers, I think that's the rock in a hard place that I think Chris is at right now. Chris Drury's at right now.
Seems to be, but it seems like that he has leadership capability. He could be almost a future captain in some ways, possibly.
He's got to get over this hump, though. He does. I don't know if regress. I don't know if regress is the right word, that he's regressed, but I don't think he's taken the leaps and bounds ahead that we all expected. A guy that was drafted in the first round, has played a lot of hockey, has played in important games, but it seems almost always he's been at his best in a third pairing role, right?
It seemed like he was excelling more, maturing more with Jacob Trouba as part of the defense corps. I think the entire group of them lost something when he left. Seeing the repercussions of that.
And that's, I know Jacob Trouba at the end there, he wasn't an $8 million defenseman. Even though he just signed a contract for even more money right now, right? The San Jose Sharks. My goodness. God bless Jacob Trouba. But I get it. The fans, management, they didn't believe that he was an $8 million defenseman anymore.
Right.
And the Rangers were up against the cap. They had to find ways, to get, under the cap. You don't re-sign Shesterkin for what you re-signed him for unless you move some of those contracts, right?
Okay. No choice.
So I understood all that. It was mishandled in the public and everything by Chris Drury. Again, something we've talked a lot about. But had he been make up a number, $4 million a year, maybe $5 million a year, he brought a lot of value to that team. And I don't think that Chris and maybe other members of management, the organization, didn't quite get how valuable he was in that room, how he was a key part of that fabric. And I think in 24-25, we saw how he was treated, and then removing him from the mix, what it did to the group, to the fabric.
Just wasn't good from the literal get-go. Barclay Goodrow leaves and won waivers, and then Trouba soap opera traded in December. The whole year again off the rails.
Threatened with waivers before, right?
So it's a lot of pressure, and the team responded to that negative karma.
Oh, no question. All right, I know the room's filling up here, and I see you're looking around. I'm sure you're going to get pulled in a few different directions. So real quickly, from all the movement we've seen in the Metro Division, now the Flyers ended up whiffing on their big move, so it didn't happen. But Washington, a lot of big moves.
Yes.
Rangers certainly have retooled in different areas. New Jersey Devils make some big moves. Who improved the most, you think, in the Metro? And are the Rangers a top 3 team in the Metro this year? At this point, 2 months out from training camp.
Who improved the most? Has to be the Capitals. Same energetic young coach that got them to the playoffs. Won the division
Spencer
the year
Carberry.
Before.
Yeah.
Ovechkin's back and motivated for another go-round. Super impressive talent added. Alex Tuch, Boone Jenner. I mean, these are impressive pieces.
Jordan Kyrou.
Yeah, Kyrou.
Right.
So they're deep. I mean, they're big. They're deep. Motivated. I got the coach.
They're really big.
I put them second. Carolina, the champs, right there. Of course, not going anywhere. Flyers showed so much promise, making the playoffs, responding to Rick Tockett's methods. They're right up there to me. New Jersey, depending on the goaltending and Jack Hughes' health, should be top 4. Right now, I don't see the Rangers anywhere near the top 4 as constructed.
Right.
that could change. They could get off to the hot start.
Yeah, of course. Stay healthy.
Columbus, mysterious. They were amazing for a while, then swooned at the end. It missed the playoffs. Rick Bowness back another year.
And now their two top players said, when our
We're not
contracts
so
are
sure,
up,
so
I
that's
don't think we're coming back.
troubling. The Islanders really didn't do a lot, but they're always in the mix. But to me, it's and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh was a super surprise.
Yeah.
Sidney Crosby's ageless. The coach did a great job there. Dan Muse, Ranger assistant, they couldn't find room for, who leads Pittsburgh to the playoffs. So they're also up there. Who would have thought they'd be a playoff team in 2026? But to me, it's Carolina, Washington, Flyers, Devils, give or take that fourth spot, Pittsburgh, Islanders. But it's after that. It's
right.
It's a puzzle.
Even last year, it was the same way, right? You kind of throw them up in the air, and wherever the balls land, they land.
Realize how tight it is every year. I mean, the Atlantic Division looks like all 8 teams can make the playoffs in some way, except for maybe Ottawa. But they're so deep. So where's that extra playoff spot? Is it going to be 3 and 5, 5 and 3? Like, could be 5 Atlantic teams and then only 3 from the Metro. Tough race, and you have the champs in your division and the Caps. And I think the Flyers will keep rising.
That's interesting. All right. So interesting take on the Flyers. I'm not 100% sold on them, but I respect that. I would like the Devils. I just don't like their goaltending right now. And maybe they address it somehow, somewhere along the line, right?
In the offing, not a lot of, Nico Dawes, maybe. Jake Allen's a very nice backup, but Nico Dawes being number 1, that's a roll of the dice.
Yeah, big roll of the dice. Allan Kreda, thanks so much for hanging out with us here. We're at the New York State Hockey Hall of Fame, Troy, New York. People are hanging out here. We've got fans. We've got former players. We've got a lot going on here. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And we'll continue with more interviews. Again, from Troy, New York, Allan Kreda, thanks for joining us.
Welcome. Happy to do so.
Just want to say thank you for tuning into the Rink Rap Podcast this week. A lot of fun recording here at the New York State Hockey Hall of Fame Induction Ceremony 2026 in Troy, New York. Special thanks to Nick Fotiu for literally airmailing in and joining us on the podcast. Also, Sam Rosen and Allan Kreda from the Associated Press talking Rangers past, present, and future. So a lot of cool stuff here. And as I said earlier, in the introduction, that a lot of stories can be coming up on Forever Blueshirts this week, and we're going to continue deep diving into the Rangers as well. They're off season. We're going to keep analyzing it. We're less than 2 months away from training camp, so still a lot of cool things to get to. Still a lot of topics, a lot of things to break down, and we'll see. Are the Rangers done? What do you think? You think they're done? They probably are. Braden Schneider still hanging out there. We'll have to see. But there's still plenty to look forward to. Training camp, less than 2 months away, and we'll keep plowing through it during the summer. We've got some special guests coming up this summer. We know Pierre McGuire is going to be joining us. We have some other NHL heavy hitters as well in the coming weeks. So thanks for tuning in to Rink Rap. Thanks for liking and subscribing. And please, please, please continue to follow us over at foreverblueshirts.com for all of our written material as well. We've gotten great feedback, great numbers, so far during the off season. I can tell the fans are feeling the energy. I'm feeling it as well. And we're going to keep delivering the best content that we can. So thanks for tuning in again this week. We'll catch you with the next edition of Rink Rap.